They're tough, tailing, and a favorite for anglers of all ages. Whether you're pulling the flats or casting from shore, we've got the tips to help you land a bruiser.
That's right, Bree. And you know what? We're talking about redfish here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. This week's species is truly a favorite amongst many Floridian anglers, and most definitely one of your favorite, Rick. You know what? It's your redfish world, and we're just living in it this week. So talk to us.
You're so right, Bree. You know, the thing that's so cool about redfish is it doesn't matter. He's all over the place in the United States, from the Carolinas all the way to Key West and all the way back over to Texas, throughout all of the Gulf states. That's what makes him so popular. And the thing that I love about them is how diversified they are in the state of Florida. And our captains are gonna explain all that to everybody tonight.
Yep, and lots of different ways to catch them. Well, we do have our very good friend from CCA Star we're chatting with a little later in the show. But let's say hi to Mr. Dave Farrell, who's hanging out at the CCA workbench. You're really just here for moral support today, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah. I'm gonna be throwing a few questions at Rick and let him tell me, what's going on with the redfish. We're gonna be talking a little bit about going deep for redfish. They're not always on the flats.
There you go. There's another way to catch them right there. Well, we're starting off this weekend in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region with Captain Ronnie Houston, who has redfish down to a T and what you'll need to find them. So, Ronnie, let's hear it.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure being here. Now, they can be caught throughout the whole region all year round. So the tips I'm about to give you will help you locate the redfish all through the region. Now, lower tides combined with north and east winds, full moons, I strongly suggest the northern end of the region fishing the flats, troughs, and potholes, and that's where you're going to find them either tailing or really fish cruising the surface. Now, this method will always work in spring and summer and fall when we have the same conditions with the winds and the moon. Now, your south winds, your southwest winds, your west winds, those are going to make the tides a lot higher. Or when you're fishing normal high tides, you want to concentrate on fishing points, independent islands, mangrove shorelines, oyster bars, and oyster bottom. Fish will be a little more difficult to find. Now, on your lower tides, gold spoons, soft plastics like the Bass Assassin Little P and V has really been my best soft plastic all through the region in the last 2 years. And topwater walk the dog lures in your bone or chromes. Now, your higher tides, cut baits for scent. Coming live pilchards will draw the fish to you. Live pinfish on knocker rig, and that bait will be kept in place on that knocker rig. So what I'm trying to tell you is keep it simple, don't overthink it, and just keep it simple. Put in your time, and these tips I give you are going to help you find and catch a lot more redfish. And I have a picture of a nice oversized redfish just recently caught with On a Mission fishing charters with Wes and Perry Bedell.
Nice. All right,
Inshore side still. No, we're going to talk about the tarpon. It's about that time, and Captain Danny Latham reports fish are showing up right now from Fort Myers Beach up to Boca Grande and should improve in the next couple of months. But I'm going to tell you something. Don't get caught up in that Boca Grande hype. The fish are moving right now from south to north, especially when the weather's moderate. Fish are going to be along the beaches from Marco to Fort Myers Beach, as well as fish are in the Everglades right now and 10,000 Islands. You want to concentrate on the outer Gulf edges, points, passes, and bridge strands all through the region. Danny tells me the best baits right now he's using for these fish are crabs. But pinfish and herring down below. Danny's also a big fan of the swim baits. He likes those Berkeley coal shads, anywhere from 5 to 8 inch. Swim baits are also working. And I got a picture of a nice tarpon release just in the last couple days while fishing with Captain Danny Latham to the north.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore.
Cobias. Right now, the reports from Captain Perry and Wes Bedell from On a Mission fishing charters. He's telling me towers, wrecks, and artificial reefs, and being in the right place at the right time is going to really pan out for you. Now, some of these areas right now, the fish are on top, which makes it easier. And then sometimes these fish just pop up unexpectedly without you knowing it. So you got to put in the time, doing some running and guzzling, patiently waiting, anchored up. But when you do find these fish, he's telling me these fish are chewing. Live crabs, pilchards, and herring, and the simple old bucktail jig is getting it done. Once you find them, like I said, they're going to be chewing, so I have a variety of baits. And I have a nice cobia picture here this week, last couple days, caught while fishing with On a Mission fishing charters out of Naples.
Nice.
Now, the last species is going to be the permit. Now, I've been talking with guys from actually down in the Everglades all the way up in Tampa, and Tampa is not my region. But right now, these fish seem to be in their annual spawn, and I've been getting reports all through the region. You're going to find schools right now from 300 to 500 fish. But do that during their annual spawn, they can be tricky to catch because of this opportunity. It's also, they're not feeding very well. So what you're going to have to do when you get on these schools, patience is going to be the key. But once they are feeding, baits are going to go quick. So make sure you have a variety of baits. That's going to include crabs, live shrimp, simple old school bucktails, and white, yellow, brown, and chartreuse. Like I said, you're going to get on and wonder why they're not feeding right now, because they're in that spawn. But when they start chewing and you get on a school that big, make sure you have a variety of baits. I got a nice picture of a permit release this week, wild fishing with those guys from On a Mission Fishing Charters out of Naples. Guys, have some patience. Hopefully we got some lighter east winds this week. We can get near shore and inshore.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Southwest Phillips and Jordan region. He says inshore, Snook, Fort Myers Beach to Boca Grande. Nighttime at the bridge spans, intercoastal docks and seawalls. Daytime, deep points, edges, and deadwood along the shoreline is going to work for them there. And then offshore, red groupers, although they're throughout the whole entire region in 90 to 120 feet of water, fishing hard bottom, using live pinfish, herring, cigar, minnows, and a variety of cut bait, Bree.
I just love Ronnie. He's so helpful, right to the point.
Yep.
He's wonderful.
He's a get her
All
job
right.
done.
He's the get the job done. All right, next we're headed to the Panhandle region, where redfish are by far a beloved species by many, including Captain Pat Deneen. What's up, brah?
Hey, Bree, tell you what, redfish, they're definitely one of the Panhandle's favorite inshore fish, and for many reasons. But probably the biggest reason is the many different ways you can fish for them. I mean, they're just a great inshore game fish. And we have really good redfish in year-round, but the fall is when things go off the chain, when the big redfish get bunched up inside our inlets, and we catch them in big numbers using live baits, especially outgoing tides. Currently, we're catching redfish along the beaches, on the flats, and around the docks, the residential docks in the Sound and in the bays. Captain Jonathan Goodhart out of Destin, he's been having really good redfish action by live baiting the residential docks in the local bayous, basically bouncing dock to dock. You know, typically a few docks will hold some fish regularly, and you just bounce those docks till you find where they're holding, and keep that in your mind. Come there again, because there's chances are they'll be there at another time. Sight fishing for the redfish is definitely one of my favorite ways to fish for them. And Panama City's Upper Bay Systems is one of my favorite places to do that. We've been fishing there this week, tight to the shore and a foot of water and less, catching plenty of slot fish, a few over slot fish, by focusing on the mouths of the tidal creeks, the drainage is coming out of the marsh. The gulp dragon tail rigged weedless on a worm hook has been working really good for those redfish. They've been picking it up. If you miss the bite, they'll come back and pick it up again. It's a great lure. There's a photo of Drew Allen. He's showing off a nice trout and a redfish he caught while fishing in the Santa Rosa Sound just recently over in Marietta. So they are definitely a favorite species, and those redfish and trout, I mean, they go together like peas and rice, and right now some of the biggest trout of the year are being caught with St. Joseph Bay. And, it's got those expansive grass flats, provides perfect habitat, and they're consistently catching some big springtime speckled trout over there. Black's Island, Pig Bayou, the town flats are all great areas to be fishing right now. Wade or drift in 2 to 4 feet of water. Fish live baits under a float, clacker bobbers with a soft plastic, bass assassin paddle tails on a 1/4 ounce or a lighter jig head, and focus on those grass sand edges, the potholes, grass flats with a lot of spotty bottom. And to target those bigger trout, stick with the bigger baits or throw a topwater lure like a Jaywalker 120. You won't get the numbers you're going to get with the smaller lures or baits, but you got a really good chance at a gator trout. The trout are bunched up right now, so when you get some action, drop your power poles, fish that area thoroughly. Santa Rosa Sound, Gulf Islands, the seashore, all that similar habitat as St. Joe Bay, so fishing's good right now. Trout 20 inches and up are being caught. And then moving offshore, the state waters are producing a lot of red grouper right now. The captains are reporting plenty of them. Fishing natural bottom, 80 to 120 feet of water. A good percentage of these red groupers are short, but there are some nice keepers being caught. Use a live pinfish on a slip sinker rig. That's pretty much the standard go-to bait. But the red groupers are pretty much garbage trucks, and they're going to readily eat strip baits and butterfly baits. I mean, pretty much anything as long as you keep your lead close to the bottom or just off the bottom. You can also expect some red snapper. They're out of season right now, but you definitely have a venting tool to be ready to release some of those fellas. Finally, offshore, Jack Crevalle. The anglers running the beach looking for cobias. They're not finding many cobia, but they are finding really big schools of Jack Crevalle. And these fish are completely overlooked by many fishermen, but the jacks are awesome for sport fishing. They can be in really big schools. You're going to be just a big dark shadow up there on that second sandbar or in the gully. Typically going to be moving to the west or just milling around. If you don't get up on top of them, you can work the school pretty good. Top water skipped across the surface, resulting in some great bites on top, but also awesome fly rod fish. Do the bait and switch, use crease flies and poppers on a 10 weight. The jacks are running a small side, 10 or 12 pounds, but really most of them are 18 to probably 20, 25 pounds.
So, Pat, I got a question for you. When you find those jacks and you want to throw a topwater, what kind of topwater are you throwing to them? More of a chugger or a walk the dog?
Man, I like to walk the dog, Rick, but I do not walk the dog. I just crank it and skip it straight. I don't slow it down and try to get a cadence. You just want it to skitter back to you, and they'll chase it down like nobody's business.
All right. Well, thanks for straightening us out on that. We appreciate your hard work this week. And guess what? It's time for the Heroes on the Water hotspots from the Panhandle region. Pat says that inshore, the redfish in West Bay fish shallow. Quiet casting spoons or shallow plastics is going to work. You can try a topwater at first light if you choose. And then offshore, vermilion snappers on a chicken rig, baited with cut squid or minnows. Fish the Mingo Ridge and southwest edge in 160 to 200 feet of water.
That walk the dog cadence, though, is very cathartic.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like scolding Leo. No.
That is not cathartic. That is stressful. All right, coming up, we're headed to the CCA workbench. Shush for rigs and techniques. Dave, I cannot wait to see what you and Rick are going to come up with over there.
Well, you have conjured up some stuff.
You have conjured?
Yeah. I know you. I noticed you didn't say conjured.
I didn't.
was expecting.
I didn't.
I went
use
ahead and said it
conjured.
for you.
Well, we're coming up with something. We'll be right back. And then we're going to head to the Keys for Captain Ridge Murphy, and he has a lot to say about the weekend ahead. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and certainly one of my favorite times of the show, Rigs and Techniques with you, Dave. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about redfish in deeper water, something other than 24 inches up on the grass flats.
Right, they're not always up on the flats, ready to gobble up your topwater lures. They don't have that underslung mouth for nothing. They spend a lot of time near the bottom, and if you're in deeper water, they're going to be close to the bottom a lot. As a matter of fact, when I grew up over at Satellite Beach, we called them channel bass.
Right.
Because, they were in the channels, and that's how we caught them in the deep water. We'd, throw a chunk of something out there and have it blow up my Zebco 808 as it ran away. I couldn't stop them with those things. So anyway, but we're going to talk a little bit about what kind of lures and stuff that you want to use, and also some baits later on.
Well, certainly, if we're going to talk about topwater fishing, which is shallow, there's any walk the dog, jaywalker, or the Berkeley stick shad would be great choices in that shallow water. But really what I want to focus on tonight, Dave, is I want to focus on a fish that's in 24 inches or deeper. Even a fish that's on a jetty or in an inlet like you have in Sebastian Inlet, or Pat Deneen has it up there in Patty's Place. So there's a variety of different ways to fish. So let's start by talking about fishing for them with artificials first.
Okay.
So you got Artemis shad, which Bass Assassin makes. Bigger profiles, really important. You can throw this with a variety. This is the Eagle Claw boxer jig. Certainly Bass Assassin makes her own jig heads as well. But one of the things that's come down the pipe recently is using, instead of a spoon, what you're able to do is a 1/2 ounce slobber knocker.
Yeah.
And what the slobber knocker does is it allows you to fish it either with a skirt or without a skirt, but it allows you to reel it really slow. So you get that vibration of a search lure, but you are able to fish it much deeper. You can fish it 4 feet of water, 6 feet of water. You can throw it into channel creeks up there where Tommy Boy lives, you know, and that tides fall and those fish are all vacating the grass flats, and then they're dumping into the creeks. This is a great...
And a lot of those spawning fish, you know, they spawn in those inlets. They gather up, and they're bigger fish too.
That's correct.
So the bigger baits are going to get their attention a lot more.
That's correct. So you can make your profiles much larger. You can use a Pro Elite jig head and a 5-inch swim bait. This is the Dye Dapper, works very, very well. Then you have all the scented plastics that Gulp makes. They've got the new Nemesis, if you'll open that for me, and the new Turbo Shad. They are certainly a different profile, and they can go on any jig head. But from time to time, Dave, these baits, you know, need some significant weight put in their face.
Right.
But this is
especially
a curly
in a tide
tail
area.
Yeah, so this is a curly tail. It's impregnated with all its scented, you know, stuff that they have. Yeah, the good old Gulp.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is sometimes you just got to go. Those fish that maybe are on the flats in the low tide, they may graduate to the trees like in Punta Gorda, or they could graduate to the rocks on a jetty someplace. So at that point, we're going to start fishing bait. We can fish cut bait like a piece of cut ladyfish. We would fish it on this Eagle Claw Jupiter rig that they make. It comes with a, you know, a circle hook or a live bait hook. In our case, the one I like is the one with the circle hook. And this works really well because you can throw it in the Sebastian Inlet.
Yeah.
You can throw it in the Destin underneath the bridge when those fish are there. The Mayport jetties, the jetties in Fernandina. There's a variety of different places.
Yeah, any place where you got a nice current flowing and you want to your bait to stay relatively close to the bottom, the Jupiter rig is hard to beat.
That's correct. And what you're going to do is you're going to bait this either with a live pin fish. You can bait it with a chunk of dead mullet, a chunk of ladyfish, depending on where you are. But what this does is it allows you to throw it up under there and let it sit on the bottom.
Right. And another good hook is also as a inshore kale hook, like this Trocar kale hook. They have, if you're using a big chunk of bait, that extra wide gap of the kale hook allows that fish to get to the hook.
Right.
You know, because if you're using just a regular, sometimes a circle hook or even a live bait hook, a regular J hook, when you put a big chunk of bait on there, that big chunk of bait kind of impedes the fish's ability to get that hook into the, you know, the hook to get into the fish.
The other thing that I like to do also, Dave, is I like to use my trolling motor and go up and down the jetty. Most of the time I start somewhere near the tip of the jetty because fish will come around the jetty from the outside and the inside, and then I'll use these Berkeley dredgers. These are 20 and 30 foot deep crankbaits. Now remember this, guys, when you're using these crankbaits, I want you to hit a rock with it because when it hits the rock, it disturbs the vibration. When it deflects, that's when you're going to get the bite.
Yeah, any lure that you're using in Sebastian Inlet, if you're not losing a bunch of them, you're not fishing them right.
Well, the cool
you're
part
wanting
about
to be hitting the bottom.
But a cool part about this is swims like this, so it's going to hit, and the hooks are behind it and doesn't get hooked in there.
And it's a good thing also if you're using something else or any other one. If you're losing a lot of them, take that front hook off.
Okay.
And just leave the back one on there, and you won't lose as many.
All right. That went way too fast.
It did. And Dave, you get participation points today. I'm so proud of you over there. That was some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to kill me after that. All right, well, in this captain's household, red fishing might as well be a religion. So let's see what kind of wisdom we can gain from Captain Ridge Murphy, of course, in the Black Oak LED Keys region. What's up, Ridge?
You know, if you grew up anything like I did, red fishing was a huge part of family days out on the water. Here in the Black Oak LED region, red fishing in Florida Bay, all the way down to the Middle Keys is a good way to learn how to present baits in a sight fishing scenario with a very forgiving participant. Redfish can be caught all year round, from fishing a jig head on the bottom with a live shrimp in the wintertime around the islands and the moats, to sight fishing big schools of rumbling fish around the crowns of the flats in the summertime. From tailing fish to piggybacking on rays, redfish have many different mannerisms that can help you become a better angler. A few things that you want to do when you're targeting these fish is aim small and miss small. Redfish are very forgiving fish. That way when you make a cast, you can be very aggressive. You want to hit them in the face, and as long as the angle is going away from the face rather than coming at them, you should get the bite. You can throw lures like the Berkeley hard baits such as the Jaywalker 100, Berkeley stick shad, or soft plastics like the Bass Assassin 4-inch sea shad, Elite Shiner, or shrimp patterns like a 3-inch Gulf shrimp. But nothing catches redfish quite like a Johnson Gold Silver Spoon. Throw Fenwick Elite rods in 7-foot or 7'6" in medium fast to medium light with a 2,500 to 4,000 size Penn spinning reel, and you're going to use 8 to 15 pound Berkeley X9 braided line with a 20 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader. I have a photo of a good buddy of mine, Robbie Bender, with a nice double on redfish that we caught out in Florida Bay.
Nice. All right, what else you got, bub?
Downtown in the lower keys, bone fishing has been really good. Look for the big muds on the flats, and you're going to throw live shrimp on a 2-0 Eagle Claw shrimp hook with a small split shot on a 7'6" Fenwick World Class medium light spinning rod. You can also throw light pink or tan jigs or flies to these bonefish. When it comes to bone fishing, you want to take your time working the flood tides onto the flats, working with the current, and the fish will be swimming into the current. You're going to stop the boat short of the current and stop the short of the current of the fish and lead them with a considerable lead. You're going to give him some time to find it and then turn the handle nice and fast as he takes his first long run and then lift the rod. This will drive the hook really good and take the slack out as you're getting hooked up, and your hookup ratio will go up a lot.
All right, let's go offshore.
Sail fishing has been good all up and down the Keys from Key Largo to Key West. Guys have been kite fishing from 150 to 300 feet of water, and you're going to look for hard current breaks and color changes. Put the big spread out, covering ground with 6 to 7 lines out, drifting with the Gulf Stream current, and you're going to bump the boat into the wind, but try to refrain from bumping so hard that you're dragging the baits. Remember, you're drifting with the kites and you're not slow trolling, and that'll help the presentation look a lot better. Keep that in mind. Some good baits that you would want to use is goggle eyes, thread fins, cigar minnows, pilchards, and sardines. And if you're looking to find the right rod and reel combo, the Penn Fathom 40 and the Penn Fathom Electrics 30s will have you covered. R&R Tackle has everything kite fishing 101, from kite lines to pre-made kite leaders, and you might want to check them out to help you get started. I have a photo of Team Heartlander down in Key West with a nice sailfish that the family caught.
Nice. All right, tell us about
man,
the
it's a fun one.
blackfins, bub.
The blackfin tunas down in the lower Keys has been on fire. We've been down in Key West for the last 2 weeks now, and the kite fishing for pelagics has been really good. The most consistent thing has been the blackfin tunas. Nice fish from 20 to 30 pounds, all up and down the rip from the deeper color changes and around the structure. If you have extra bait, you can chum pilchards, but the guys have been catching lots of tunas on just their regular kite baits. Use 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader and be mindful of the sharks. You may want to put some heat on them once you know it's a nice tuna, and you're going to use short little pumps to keep his head pointed in the right direction. I have a photo of Kevin Scalia with a nice blackfin that actually got eaten by a shark, and the crazy part is that head weighed 24 pounds.
Whoa, that's a big one.
Woo, it did get sharp.
All right, Ridge, thanks so much for all the photos. Oh, and we'll talk to you after the show. I'm going to go ahead and get a look at the scientific angler hotspots. My man Ridge says, snook fishing in the potholes and the moats and the edges of the flats. Throw Bass Assassin soft plastics or Berkeley hard baits on the contours of the flats looking for those snook. And then offshore, the pelagic fishing on the edge, kite fishing, the deeper color changes in 150 to 300 feet of water for sailfish, blackfin, tunas, cobias, mahis, and kingfish. And the guys with the kites, they have been having some really good luck, guys.
So we just saw Ridge and Colin fishing.
Yes.
What was Ridge's favorite fish growing up as a kid? Just curious.
Man,
Was it redfish?
No, I say he really loved fishing with Niebuhr on
Niebuhr.
catching sailfish.
Okay.
Yeah.
That shows.
Yeah, man.
He's our offshore boy.
He does love the offshore, but he's gotten
good
the
at it,
tarpon
too.
bug when you can throw the long stick to him now,
Well,
so he's stuck.
He's multi-purpose.
Yes.
We love Little Ridge. All right, let's
He's
dive.
multi-everything.
Yes, he is. Let's dive on in to some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. First, we have the Marathon Offshore Bull and Cow Dolphin Tournament, where a guaranteed $18,000 cash prize awaits the anglers who catch the largest bull and cow dolphin fish combined. Then anglers compete for cash prizes for the heaviest dolphin fish in the Nick Sheehan Dolphin Rodeo in Tavernier, with proceeds funding scholarships in Nick's memory. Next, we're fishing for a cause and cash prizes in the 19th Annual Mother's Day Dolphin Tournament to support Habitat for Humanity of the Middle Keys, May 9th and 10th in Marathon. And finally, women anglers gathered during 2 days of fishing in the annual Ladies Let's Go Fishing Screamin' Reels Offshore and Inshore Fun Fishing Tournament, May 16th through the 18th in Isla Mirada. For more information on Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com. But it's you might want to get ready to reel, because we're headed into the Star Tournament Central West region and saying hi to our good friend from CCA Star, and then seeing what the Central East region has on deck for our upcoming weekend. But before we go, we want you to head to our website and check out our live studio audience dates coming up this season. Come hang with us on set for some filming, fishing, fun, and giveaways, of course, and we hope to see you very soon. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
Guys, as you can see, joining me now is Captain Lisa Fitzgerald, the director of the CCA Florida Star Tournament. Lisa, you know what? This is year number 11, is that correct?
You are right. Year number 11, and Yamaha has been our presenting sponsor every year.
Nice.
We've got some really cool stuff happening in year 11.
So tell us, we got new things happening.
We do. We have some new boats. We have the Carolina Skiff. We have two 24-foot Carolina skiffs. We have a Seabourn. We have back with us spider boats, and we have back with us microdraft skiffs. So we still have 5 great prizes. And for our junior anglers, our youth anglers, if they catch a tagged redfish, they can also win a Carolina skiff with Yamaha motor.
Wow. So, but you know, a lot of guys think that it's all about the tagged redfish. There is some new categories. Why don't you go over some of those?
Yep. Well, please don't forget we have the Tigress Tagged Dolphin division for our offshore blue water anglers, but we have a new division called the Drum Spots, Lots of Spots division. So I know lots of people catch fish with more than, we're talking about redfish, more than just 1 or 2 spots.
Right.
Those fish that have lots of spots can be entered into the Star competition to win some really great prizes. We have $25,000 in that division. We have an SUP Customs hybrid skiff. We have all kinds of really cool prizes in that division. So,
all right, so let's talk about kids scholarship. Really important for those kids to get started. So what do we got to do?
Yes, the Guy Harvey Youth Scholarship Division, presented by Realtree Fishing, is my favorite. We have $100,000 in college scholarships, 2 $25,000 scholarships, and 10 $5,000 scholarships. But in that 10 years that we've done this, we do our math, 10 times 100,000, that's $1 million in college scholarships we've awarded.
Quickly, tell me where people make a mistake and then where they got to go to get registered.
Yep, they make the mistake by thinking it's just the tagged redfish. There are so many other ways to win prizes. But the biggest mistake they make is they fish all summer long without being registered in the competition. They got to be registered. They got to be a CCA member. They can go to our website at ccaflstar.com, get registered. It's simple as that.
It is simple, guys. And then guess what? It starts Memorial Day weekend. So get registered, get out there, do a little pre-fishing, and go win yourself some prizes, right?
$500,000 is out there and up for grabs.
All right. Thank you so much. Where are we going next, Bree?
All right, well, catching a redfish in the Star Tournament Central West region ain't no thing when you have Captain Jeff Page by your side. So let's see what kind of advice he's giving us for this time of year. Go for it, Paige.
Well, good to talk to you guys tonight. And, you know, the redfish in our region, in the Star Tournament Central West region, it's a year-round species. It's just depending on the water temperature and the time of year, how you're going to catch them. There's a lot of different ways to catch them. Probably the most popular pattern is working the shallow grass flats, mangrove shorelines, oyster bars. And you can do that with a mixture of live bait or artificials, depending on the time of year. The fish can be broken up in singles, or they can, like in the fall of the year, they can be in schools of up to 100 or more fish. And you know what happens then, Rick? You'll come up on them, and those fish will raise up, and just about anything you throw in them, they'll bite. But this time of year, the fish are more broken up in with the mullet schools, in with the higher tides up under the mangroves and along the oyster bars and the sand troughs. It's a good idea, if you're going to live bait them, to put your power poles down and just work live bait, either free line, and you can even use chunk baits like ladyfish or shrimp and just lay them on the bottom in the trough under the trees, or you can take a few live pilchards and throw those out and get them popping, and then you can free line or cork live baits. And then with probably a 3 or a 4-0 circle hook works real well. And then if you're going to throw lures, it's not a bad idea to start with a 1/4 or a 1/2 ounce weedless Johnson Gold spoon, soft plastics like the new Berkeley Gulp Dragon Tail, which is a small little pencil-shaped bait in the new Berkeley Gulp stuff, and it's in all the favorite colors. And then, of course, the favorite Berkeley Gulp 3 or 4 inch shrimp. I like that in the new penny or pearl white, and I like rigging that on an 8 or 1/4 ounce jig head. Now, one of my favorite ways to catch them when there's calm weather and the seas are flat and there's not a lot of chop on the water is that Berkeley stick shad in the 90 side, and it's a floating wake bait that when you work it, it just slightly goes below the surface and leaves a little V wake. Now, some of the areas that you want to fish in this time of year are all up in the north part of the region, Palmasola, Terracea, Longbar Point, and Sarasota Bay. And then even down the east side of Sarasota Bay can be very productive, provided there's not a lot of grass, and the mullet schools are all up and down there. Down south, Lemon Bay on the west side of the bay, Rick, where we have fished in tournaments before, just north of Stump Pass. And then, of course, Bull, Turtle, and Widdens Creek in Charlotte Harbor. The one thing I want to throw in there, and for some reason this winter there was a lot of fish on the near shore artificial reefs, and guys are still catching them, Rick, and they're marking them on their machines and dropping down baits like even cut sardines or live pinfish down on the bottom and catching nice redfish. My photo tonight is a really cool wave picture of Bob Smith, who's fishing with his son, Captain Peter Smith, out of Bradenton.
Okay, speckled trout, bub, we better go.
Speckled trout. Last week, I said him he was good. He's still good. A lot of 20-inch plus fish in with the mullet schools, around the oyster bars, on the higher stages of the tide. Top water plugs like the chrome jaywalker or the chrome stick shad will get the job done, or you can put that new turbo shrimp under a popping cork. My trout picture tonight is of a good long-time client of mine, Bob Wagner. And moving offshore, mixed bag, Rick, kingfish and mackerel. Water temperatures are up in the 70s. These fish should have been here 2-3 weeks ago, but they're showing up, and it's usually in the bait schools and the birds. But this past couple weeks, we found them in the big muds, kind of like what you do down south, and we're fishing the outside edges of the muds, throwing live pilchards just on the edges, catching mackerel, kingfish, and even an occasional shark. And then if there's not a lot of boats out there, you can get up and troll through the muds with spoons or diving plugs. I've got a really good kingfish picture tonight of Captain Trey Dietz with his granddad, Captain Johnny Walker, and his wife, Joanne. And they both got a couple nice kings. And my last species tonight, permit. Calmer mornings mean those permit are going to be up top. And they really haven't left all winter. They've been in that 30 feet out to 100 feet on hard bottom areas and artificial reefs. And people have been doing real good catching fish up to 30 pounds. The key is, again, use that trolling motor, use your anchor lock feature, stay off the structure, and free line crabs right up on top. And if they're down a little bit, just put a small split shot. And my last photo tonight, happy client with a stud permit with Captain Billy Ahlstrom, Suncoast Charters.
Nice.
My goodness.
Thank you for the pictures. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the daiquiri deck, hotspots from the Central West region. Captain Page says that inshore snook time night fishing has been on fire around the bridges and the dock lights from Stickney Point Bridge south to Venice Jetty. Used live ladyfish, silver mullet, or a 5-inch Berkeley juke in a mullet pattern. Then offshore kingfish and Spanish mackerel. They have finally showed up in good numbers. Look for the birds, bait schools, big mudding areas that he talked about. Then troll around the area with lip plugs or spoons and anchor lock with your trolling motor to get the job done.
Good energy, Rick. All right, let's head into the Central West region where Captain Jim Ross is waiting with our weekend water gossip. What's the redfish scoop, Jim?
Well, it's great around here. It's one of the top species that anglers on the Space Coast try and target each year. And you can chase them in the Mosquito Lagoon in, 12 inches of water, or you can get out along the near coastal waters and catch some of those bigger bulls pretty consistently throughout the year in the 20 to 40 foot depths. So it doesn't really matter where you want to go in what time of year you want to go. There's always a place to catch redfish in the Central East region. Now, fish in the shallows, you want to grab your Pin Battle 4 3000 size reel. Put it on about a 7-foot medium action pin rod and cast a saltwater assassin 5-inch shad in the gold pepper shiner, silver mullet, or new penny colors. You want to rig this on a wide gap worm hook. Cast it around some overhanging mangrove branches if you're fishing canals, or near schools of mullet if you're in the open grass flats. For the bigger fish, either on the inshore or on the near shore, try cut mullet, ladyfish, or pinfish on a knocker rig or slide and sinker rig. The cut bait really works well. And you want to put a 6/0 or 7/0 size circle hook in that thing. That chunk bait, it's just so simple to catch big redfish around here. You can do it just about anywhere. Like I said, either in the deeper channels in the inside in the intercoastal or along those beaches. We have fish from 15 to 50 inches, and most of our fish inshore are, the more common lagoon size fish are less than 30 inches. Some of those bigger fish a little farther offshore. And they're, of course, typically those 30-plus inch fish. Got a picture here of Joe Daly. He was fishing with me a little while ago, and we had this, typical shoreline redfish. And then, of course, you can see that we got photobombed by that little snook in the background. Now, speaking of snook, snook action remains extremely good throughout the entire region this week. All of the inlets are full of big snook right now. Live mahara, croakers, spots, jumbo shrimp is what you want to put on a hook to get them. I've had really, really good success with my charter clients using a Penn Class 5000 spooled with 30-pound braid and a 40-pound test fluorocarbon leader on recent trips with a jig head and shrimp combo. It's been working excellent. In the flats, quite a few of the anglers that I've spoken to this week are saying that the Assassin 5-inch soft plastic jerkbait in the pilchard color or a topwater chugging plug with a black back seems to be working really good to get the snook to bite. Look for areas around Melbourne, O'Galley, and Sebastian that have plenty of mullet, or we just had greenie schools that started to move in. If you find them, you're going to find the snook pretty close to them. You're going to find them generally on the nearest structure to the bait fish. I've got two pictures here. Captain Glenn Austin of Sebastian with one of his clients with a nice flat snook that they took this week. And then my second picture is of one of my clients here recently with another one of those big inlet snook that we've been catching.
Nice. Pretty work.
Swinging offshore, the king mackerel, Rick, it's late spring. The mackerel have sprung. Anglers are targeting these kingfish in 65 to 90 feet of water. All the structures out there seem to have pretty good numbers on them right now. Live pogies, live pilchards, and live greenies are the top baits. But, frozen sardine, or cigar minnow, I should say, is we call them spinning minnows. They've been working really well also if you don't want to find or try to catch live bait along the beaches. You want to rig them on a stinger rig. 2-hook stinger rig seems to work really good. And most of the king mackerel are running about 10 pounds to 15 pounds, but you're going to get them up to about 20 pounds on some days.
Nice.
Now, my last species is the dolphin, and the dolphin run is really starting to pick up in my region. And this is what, guys get really excited about this. The Sea Leveler crew out of Sunrise Marina has been on the bite for a few days now, and the dolphin are striking live and cut baits when you find them around floating objects. Now, if you're just be trolling, obviously good success is happening along temperature breaks. We have more temperature breaks than we do weeds right now. So if you can get on those temperature breaks or rips, especially the ones associated with the western edge of the Gulf Stream, you're going to do really well. Green and yellow, blue and white, or red and black colored trolling skirts, or a naked small ballyhoo seem to be working best for the dolphin. Most of the fish are running 4 to 8 pounds, but there are a few fish up into that 15-pound class this time of the year. So you guys and gals get out there and try and catch a memory this weekend.
Sounds like you just promoted your radio show, and I like that, bud. Good job, man. Catch a memory. Saturday mornings, guys. Don't forget to catch it. Thank you so much, Jim. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots from the Central East region. My man says snook in the Sebastian Inlet jetties. Use live maharas or croakers for fish up to 38 inches. Nice fish. And then offshore, dolphin on the temperature breaks and rips associated with the western edge of the Gulf Stream. Troll naked or skirted ballyhoo for fish up to 10 pounds. Troll naked? That takes a lot of sunscreen, I'd say.
Well, Rick, we've mentioned this before, but here's a real solution. CCA Florida's Adopt a Redfish program is back and returns to the East Coast. For $250, you can adopt one of only 100 tagged redfish size 15 to 19 inches that will be released next month in Biscayne Bay. By participating in the program, you can name your fish, receive an Adopt a Redfish performance shirt, adoption certificate, and even release your redfish at Matheson Hammock Park on May 6th. Plus, you will receive updates when your fish is caught and released. Make sure to go to ccaflorida.org/adoptaredfish to get your fish today. That is so cool. How exciting.
That's going to be fun.
It will be. All right, keep your eyes peeled and your wallets open, ladies and gents, because coming up, Dave is taking us on a Taco Marine new product spree at the CCA workbench, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah. You have to pay for this stuff?
Well,
I never have to pay.
They do. You don't.
I'm so lucky.
You're so lucky. Look at all the stuff you got.
I do have a lot of cool stuff.
And then we're tailing our way into the Alto Equipment East region with Captain Mike Holliday. We'll catch you in a bit.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Well, it's time to troll the edge here at the CCA workbench with Taco Marine. You know, Dave, trolling the edge is certainly something we like to do. So when it comes to red fishing, fishing the edge happens quite a bit too.
Yes, we got a lot of stuff to go through.
All right, let's go.
We're going to start there with the Penn Battle 4 spinning reel, stronger and more durable than ever. It's got a full metal body and a side plate. CNC gear technology. It's got a new hydro armor system that seals all the critical areas from water intrusion. It's got HT100 carbon drag washers that are, the best in the business, I think. 5+1 sealed stainless steel bearing system, and it's got line capacity rings on the inside, so as you can watch as the fish is pull and drag. It holds 250 yards of 15-pound braid and 130 yards of 30-pound braid. So the max drag on that reel is 15 pounds, and it comes in sizes 1,000 all the way up to 8,000. And a standard and a high rate retrieve. So pretty cool, cool reels.
And about the rod?
The rod that it's on, this is a good combo. It's a Penn Battalion 2 inshore spinning rod. It's a medium 7-foot, 10 to 17 pound test. It's a fast action. Second generation of the Penn Battalion series. These are super light, very powerful. They have that new SLC2 where they have a construction of an inner spiral of carbon and then carbon on the outside as well. Makes it really, really strong. Longitudinal fibers makes it really, really strong and well balanced. It's got all Fuji guides and Fuji reel seats on there. Comes in 5 different power ratings and 2 different lengths, 7 feet and 7.6. And it covers all your inshore bases. If anything you want to catch, you can get one of those.
Speaking of inshore bases, we look like we got some inshore baits.
Yes, we got the Savage Gear Rev Mag Walker. This is the cutting edge for saltwater, topwater plugs. It's got this new groundbreaking reverse magnetic weight inside of it, so that when you throw it, the weights go to the end and gets you a long cast. As soon as it hits the water, it separates and makes it float up top balanced. It's because of that. The magnets, they repel each other.
Correct.
And make it really cool. It's equipped with a really robust corrosion-resistant hooks on there. This is not a lure you have to change the hooks on.
Right.
Great walking action. Super easy even for a beginner to start with. Even if you're Patty Deneen and you can just skitter it if you want to.
Right.
But yeah, it walks really well.
How many colors?
10 different colors, 2 different sizes. It's 3.75 inch and a 4.75 inch and a ½ ounce.
Boy, I just love the way that looks.
They are really, really nice looking, and I love this one too, this bone.
That
color.
bone, I know you're a bone man.
Yep, correct.
Okay, where do we go to get them?
SavageGear.com to get those.
All right, guys, go get them.
Next, we have the Berkeley Fusion 19 swim bait jig heads. These are hybrid jig heads. It's built around a forged light wire 90-degree hook. It's really, really strong and can still be used in a finesse situation. Ultra sharp double conical point on the hook gets, really, it's tacky sharp. You got to be careful when you hold them. It's also got a conical bait holder on there as well. When you slide your soft plastics on there, they're not going to come off. That's really good. Ballast weighting, keeps the jig, upright in the water. They got those really cool 3D eyes on there, really high details, and it's got the 90-degree tie area, so you can jig it or just retrieve it. Right. 6 colors, 6 different weights, and every weight has 2 different hook sizes, from a tiny little size 10 all the way up to a 4/0, and from 1 1/32 ounce all the way up to 3/8 ounce.
Right.
So the Fusion Berkeley swim bait jig heads there.
All right.
BerkeleyFishing.com.
All right.
And last but not least, we have, the Pompano are running really strong all along Florida's east coast, right? Well, east and Panhandle. The Panhandle is smoking it. Pompano catchers from Pompano Rich. Go to pompanorich.net to see those. These are professionally designed jigs that'll cast a long way, and that little quill, believe it or not, gets most of the bites. That jig head hits the sand, makes the puffs, the quills jumping up and down. They say that 90% of them eat that quill. Those are hand-tied quills as well. So sit tight on that 6-inch loop, 20-pound fluorocarbon. Pompano Rich makes all the good stuff.
Comes rigged with a swivel, all ready to go.
It's ready to go. You tie that thing on. It doesn't only catch pompanos, it catches a lot of stuff. It'll catch little reds, snook will eat it. You cast that in the surf and bouncing around in the sand, and a lot of things will eat that.
We throw this in a school of redfish, you're catching
you
2 at a time.
Exactly.
2 at a time.
Pompano
2
Rich,
times.
pompanorich.net to get those.
Well, good job over here there, Mr. Dave. All right, Bree, let's roll.
Let's roll. All right, may the redfish odds be ever in your favor in the Alto Equipment East region. You might just want to head north, right, Mike?
That's the truth, Bree. The best redfish action in my region takes place in the Indian and St. Lucie rivers from Stewart through Sebastian Inlet. But you can catch redfish anywhere in the region, particularly in, around the Loxahatchee River and some of the old Lake Worth area. Springtime redfish tend to travel in singles, pairs, and small schools in places. Some of the more popular places are like the dock line along Walton Road, the mangroves along Queens Cove, St. Lucie Village, the moorings flats. Around the docks, they tend to like the ones that have PVC pilings that make it easier for them to knock the crabs and the mollusks off the structure when they want to eat them. And redfish love the color gold, whether it's a gold spoon or the gold glitter in a new penny or Houdini or pilchard colored saltwater sass and shad. They eat most bait fish, live or dead. They also eat shrimp and crabs. This time of the year, live pilchard or sand perch is a great bait to use on them. And the average redfish in my region is going to be around 6 to 10 pounds. We really don't get the big fish like they get up in Jim and Tommy's region. I got a photo of Captain Chris Britton in Port St. Lucie. He sent me this shot of a nice redfish they caught in the Turner Basin in Fort Pierce, and that fish ate a live pinfish. Nice. The other thing, the water temperature right now, where they're in the upper 70s, that's really fired up the snook bite on the seawalls, in the Loxahatchee River, around the mouth of the Ermine River, the Roosevelt Bridge, and the Jensen Causeway. The bridges have been best on the windy nights, and the docks and seawalls and inlets are the places to be during the daytime and on the calm days. Around the bridges, target the fish with bare jigs, like a 2-ounce chartreuse-colored flare hawk or a saltwater assassin Artemis shad. On the seawalls, live mullet, topwater plugs, swimming plugs, those are the way to go. For the dock and inlet fish, live pilchards, thread fins, and 4-inch sea shads are going to be the top baits. Average snook in my region is 6 to 15 pounds. Captain Cody Rubner of High Roller Guide Service, he sent me this shot of a nice snook one of his anglers caught, and that fish I got on a live pilchard.
Man, you guys are wrecking them. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Yeah, the spring kingfish run is on right now. The fish are spread throughout the region from Vero Cove all the way to the offshore bar, to the 6 and 8 mile reefs, even all the way down to Jupiter, to the roll down in the reef and out in front of the Juneau Pier. Southeast winds that push the bait in close to shore, and there's even some big minnow schools in the mix around St. Lucie Inlet, so the Kings have plenty of food options. If the wind goes west, look for the fish on the beach off Peck's Lake. Spanish sardines, pilchards, thread fins have been the most popular baits, but you can catch them on ballyhoo, mullet, ribbonfish. For the big kings, blue runners and goggle eyes, if they're on the beach, a big mullet's a good bait. Average king right now is going to be 8 to 20 pounds. In the Salty Days charter boat, they got a nice smoker king on the 8 mile reef the other day using live blue runners for bait.
Nice. All right, let's talk sailfish.
Yeah, there's still a strong sailfish bite going from Jensen Beach to Palm Beach with a lot of fish working the reef lines and color changes, particularly the color changes in 110 to 140 feet of water. The boats that are catching sailfish and multiples are the ones that are specifically targeting them. They're, power drifting live baits from kites. Once they hook a fish, they keep all their baits in the water to try and pick up any others that might be traveling with that fish. And for baits, goggle eyes, pilchards, and thread fins are pretty easy to sabiki up along the beaches right now. You can also throw ballyhoo with a blue and white or a pink skirt. Average sailfish is smaller size, like 30 to 40 pounds. And I got a photo of one we got the other day. We got that fish out in 80 feet out of my bay boat using a live thread fin.
Yeah, you did. Good job, bub. All right, let's talk a little bit about bass. Certainly the weather's been warm, so what do you got?
Yeah, man, and that warm weather has fired up the South Florida peacock bass and really got them in full spawning mode. They spawn in April and May. I've gotten a bunch of great reports in the last week from the guides and anglers that are fishing places like Miami Falls Canals, the airport lakes, Blue Lagoon, Snapper Creek, Tropical Park. Up in Broward County, you can fish the canals around C.B. Smith Park and Markham Park. You can also even get fish on the southwest Florida side around Naples, around the Golden Gate canals. The fish are schooling up in the shallows at dawn and dusk. You can throw small topwater plugs, prop baits, and lipless plugs. The smaller plugs are working like the 3 and 4 inch plugs. And this is a great time to throw bright colored soft plastics like an electric chicken or freak show colored bass assassin, either the little boss or elite shiners, something 4 inches or less. And then as the day heats up, look for the bedding fish along the shoreline. Target those fish with the same soft plastics. Just casting repeatedly into the bed until you get the bite. Just piss them off. If a fish flashes on the bait, throw right back to the same spot and you'll hook that fish. Average peacock, 1 to 4 pounds, but we're catching them to 7 pounds right now.
So Mike, I got a question for you. You guys, you do both inshore and offshore stuff when the weather permits. When you get up in the morning, what makes you decide to go one or the other? The bait's the same, yes or no?
What is this?
You know what? It all depends on the day of the week. If it's closer to the weekend, I want to go out on the beach or offshore. I want to get away from the crowds. If it's a weekday, I want to be inside chasing snook and tarpon.
All
and
right.
It's literally that simple for me.
All right, one little quick question. How about the trout fishing? How's it been?
You know what? Really good. It's gotten really better. We've had the best trout fishing this year that I've seen in probably, 10 or 15 years. Lots of fish, lots of small fish, and we're starting to even see some big fish. And that's reflective of the grass coming back. And the same with the redfish. The CCA, they released a bunch of redfish here this year. We'll start seeing those showing up in the population, probably by next fall.
All right, bub, great report. Thank you for keeping us up to form on the trout. We appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and look at the TH Marine hotspots. And guess what Mike says? Inshore, tarpon in the Big Mud Creek, cast live mullet and saltwater assassin Houdini, 4-inch sea shads to the fish that are rolling. And then offshore, dolphin, kingfish, tuna, sailfish, 120 to 140 feet of water between Jupiter Inlet and Hobe Sound. Use live pilchards, thread fins, and sardines. How about it?
He's also got this psychic hand thing that he does down the line.
He does.
Yeah, he does. And he just knows where they are. All right, get ready and fish for a cause at the 29th annual Mother's Day Dolphin Tournament presented by Lichty Marine of Marathon and Suzuki. This angler tournament benefits Habitat for Humanity of the Middle Keys and offers over $9,000 in prizes for the heaviest dolphin caught in 4 separate divisions: Lady, Junior, Weekend Warrior, and Pro. This is a fun family event for new and seasoned anglers. Just scan the code or visit mothersdaydolphintournament.com. All right, if you're in the Northeast and Northwest regions this weekend and catching sounds like a good idea, then stick around because your captains are coming right up with full reports. And remember, if you're hooked on fishing in Florida, then don't miss a thing and swing by our website, smash that like button on Facebook, reel us in on X and Instagram, and cast on over to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, for fresh fishing adventures, reports, and more. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Startron. Start, run, and store with Startron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Welcome back. It's time to seize the social, Rick. Every week we'll be reeling in the best fishing and ocean vibes from your favorite social media feeds. So let's see what we found this week.
What do we got?
He didn't even think twice. Oh no. Oh, Rick! He got out of the boat, man. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I can't believe I'm getting this on video.
I just want to listen to the
That
accent.
must have been a pin, rod, and reel combo. In the meantime, he's sinking. Dude, if this happens to you, if this happens,
is he still on? Oh, he's
still
still
on.
Oh my God!
You gotta back off the drag, otherwise he's gonna drown and get drugged to the bottom of the ocean. Come on, dude.
They haven't watched the Florida Insider Fishing Report, apparently.
I love it. I love it.
He's still on.
And they're out there
gosh.
driving circles around him, chumming up the sharks.
Sometimes that adrenaline just gets to your brain and you just can't think and you just do silly things, but at least he still caught the fish.
I've had that happen to me, and guess what?
What?
My dumbass didn't jump in.
No, it did not. You do not get out of the boat.
No.
All right, got a reel that made you laugh, gasp, or want to grab a rod or jump in the ocean? Send us your favorite fishing or ocean videos, and you might see them right here on Seize the Social. To submit, scan the QR code or drop them in our DMs. All right, well, our captain in the Northeast region is always sporting a sunrise redfish or two in his report, so let's see what we're getting this week with Tommy Derringer. What's up, Tommy?
That's right, Rick. Next time you're up here tarpon fishing, man, we'll try that. We'll give that a whirl.
Okay, you jump. You jump. I'll drive. I'll drive over and get you.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, man. You know, redfish. What can I say? Redfish is my favorite fish. I pretty much built my whole fishing career on redfish. I pretty much eat, sleep, and everything I do is about redfish pretty much, and I love them. And we have a fantastic redfish fishery here in the Northeast region. You know, I pretty much let all my redfish go, but, you know, they've lowered the limit to just one per person per day. It was a few years back when they did that, and it seems like it's really helped with the numbers of fish that we're seeing in the region these days. It's a great fishery. And you can catch redfish. You can catch them in the backcountry flats and creeks, but you can also catch them along the jetties, off the piers, from the beach, near shore wrecks. Just about anywhere there's some salt water, you can catch a redfish. Now, one of my favorite things about the redfish is that anglers from the pro level, like Rick, Bree, and Dave in there, and all the way to the kid who's never even touched a fishing pole before, they can really enjoy catching redfish because there's so many ways you can catch them. And once you do catch one, I can promise you will be hooked on catching them. Now, I take bass fishermen from all over the country to catch their first redfish. And man, you should see their faces when they hook up and that drag starts to scream. Sometimes they think they have a 10-pound fish on there and it's a 1-pound redfish. That's how hard they pull. Now, the creek fishing guys throughout the region has been great on the last bit of the outgoing tide here lately. All you need is a real simple rig, a live shrimp, or even better right now, a mud minnow on a 1/4-ounce saltwater assassin jig head. Fish that rig right along the bottom. You want to fish it in the deeper creek holes around that low tide, last outgoing, first the incoming, and you're going to find some hungry redfish. Now, on that same tide stage, the redfish have been backing up in the skinny stuff on the flats and on the edges of the ICW. They're up there crawling around looking for small shrimp, minnows, and some small finger mullet. Now, my favorite lure to sight fish those skinny water redfish, it's one that I talk about all the time here on the show. It's the saltwater assassin elite shiner, that one Rick's got. Man, that is such a deadly bait when it comes to redfish. You can cast that and make a really light little splash, which helps not to spook the fish. But you pair that up with that saltwater assassin weedless hook, weighted weedless hook there. Man, what a killer setup. Now, you can make a presentation with that makes no splash, like I said, and that's important because when they're up skinny, they're very spooky. Now, the water's getting murky as it starts to warm up a little bit now, and when the tide is up, my clients have been tossing this new Gulp Nemesis prawn curly tail. It's a long name, but it's a killer bait. We've been throwing that right along the grass lines and over the oyster bars. And man, the redfish have been smoking that. And we caught some on that exact color today, that new penny color. And I've got a picture here, guys. This is Brian Nasworth, my man with a big old redfish that he caught with me on that new Gulp Nemesis prawn curly tail. Now moving inshore, guys, or staying inshore, I guess, the flounder numbers are on the increase. As things start to warm up throughout the region. I spoke to quite a few anglers that have been catching some nice keeper-sized flatties this week. That mud minnow, again, on a fish finder rig or on a jig head has been the go-to. But some of the bigger flounder that I've seen and that we have caught have been coming off some medium-sized finger mullet. Don't be afraid to use a big bait for those flounder. Now, small creek mouse on the outgoing tide have been holding those fish. Look for those little creeks. Look for the smaller ones, especially the ones that have a bunch of bait either hanging out or getting flushed out, and that's where you're going to find some flounder. Now, moving offshore, everybody wants to know what the cobia report is. I've been getting calls, texts, messages, all kinds of stuff. I'll tell you, there's no cobia. Not really. There is a few, but the cobia and the manta rays have been hanging out a little bit in the north end of the region this week. The water temperature's been going up by the day because of how warm it's been, and that means they'll keep pushing to the north and probably into Georgia sometime in the next couple of weeks. Now, aside from looking for the manta rays along the beaches, the inlet rip lines have actually been one of the better spots to check for those cobia. There's been some manta rays there as well, but just some free-swimming cobia going up and down those rip lines on that outgoing tide. Most of the fish I've seen...
Tell me about this picture. We're running out of time. We got about 20 seconds.
Okay, yeah, this picture's Ollie Brittenson with a nice cobia he caught off the beach in Jacksonville off the back of a manta ray. Ollie's the man. Also got some mahi guys that are starting to show up in better numbers in St. Augustine this week. I spoke to Captain Jimmy Laidler from legendfishing.com. He said he's catching a lot of them out there right now from the Gulf Stream edge on out to 1,400 feet. They're pulling the typical chuggers and naked ballyhoos. Most of the fish out there are going to be a little bit on the smaller side, but there's some big ones in the mix. And I've got one last picture here. This is a monster mahi that Captain Jimmy caught recently. Actually caught it last week aboard the Legend, and that is a nice fish.
That sure is. Thank you so much, Tommy. Great report. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says that inshore topwater redfish on the early morning high tide, once the tide is going out, then guess what? They're going to start backing in the creeks and the holes with live shrimp, and Gulp bait will work for them. And then offshore, mahis and blackfin tunas on the Gulf Stream edge, guys. Look for them.
Look for them. They're there, the big ones, too.
Yes.
All right, let's check in with our Northwest region, Captain Jeff Hageman, to see what the red fishing and beyond is looking like for our weekend ahead. What tips do you have for us, Hag?
Redfish are strong throughout my entire region all year round. Tend to school up really good in the spring and the fall in larger numbers. They can be found on grass flats, oyster bars, shell bars, docks, passes, can be caught on spoons, flies, live bait, dead baits. One of my favorite baits is a 4-inch Gulp and new penny. That's a great go-to bait on a 1/4-ounce jig head. Hard to beat that. Beginning of the incoming tide is a great time to go look for tailors. As the tide gets higher and the fish get a little less spooky, you can catch them in the higher water, and they get a whole lot more comfortable when they get up there. But even saying that, trolling motor, get it on a lower setting, stealthy as you can be, or push in. So put your Rodan on low and creep in there when you find those big schools. Make long casts. Try not to throw directly into the schools of fish. That'll keep them less spooky and less wary if you cast the outside edges of the fish when you're fishing those fish. Most of our school fish are averaging anywhere from 27 to 34 inches. And those big breeders we get right now, when the kingfish start showing up in the spring and the fall, and they average anywhere from 20 to 30 pounds. And I got a photo of one of those that we caught last week on my boat.
Nice.
Nice big old redfish. That was a nice 19-pounder.
Yes, sir. All right, let's keep rolling.
Staying inshore, Captain Jimmy Huddleston out of Ozona Fish Camp report the snook are moving out of their back country and the wintertime haunts, staging up on the grass flats inside major passes. A large nose-hooked sardine has been his go-to bait, and that's what he's been catching most of them on. He's doing that. He's pitching them out and making a nice retrieve back to the boat. High outgoing water seems the best time to catch them. Moving a little bit further south down into St. Pete, Captain Jim Pollard of Big Daddy Sport Fishing out of St. Pete reports his snook bite's been along the mangrove shoreline and docks. Most of it's been in a little bit deeper water around those areas, looking for any kind of moving water. Freeline sardine has been his go-to bait, and I've got a couple nice photos from Captain Huddleston and Captain Pollard.
Nice.
Nice, good snook right there.
That sure is. Sure is.
Moving on offshore, Captain Rob Davenport of Big Nasty Charters out of St. Pete. Good mangrove snapper bite right now, 40 to 70 feet of water. High relief structures and reefs is what you want to go out there and look for. Light leaders has been the key, 15 to 30 pound test leader, 1/0, 2/0 hook. Most of the time he's using a knocker rig with those. And shrimp and small pinfish and sardines have been the go-to bait for him. It's been working really well. Like I said about the kingfish has started getting more and a little bit better and better every week as that water temperature starts getting right. Hard bottom areas, 20 to 50 feet of water is where you're going to find our kings right now. Live sardines chum behind the boat. So get out there, spot lock your rodeo up, get over that structure just ahead of it or anchor up, put a little chum out, cut up some baits, get some smell in the water. A chum bag does not hurt, and throw out some live ones and you'll pull them up right down the back of the boat. Use a little bit of wire leader and keep it from getting cut off.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. We'll talk to you soon. We appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Discover Crystal River hotspots from the Northwest region. He says inshore, snook along the mangrove shorelines and points with good water flow, freeline sardines on a 3/0 trocar circle hook, and then offshore, mangrove snappers, 15 to 50 feet of water over the high relief structure, flat rock, live rock bottom. Use knocker rig with just enough lead to get to the bottom with a live shrimp or sardine is going to be the best for the bait.
All right, if you're cruising around Florida, do it with a Oz and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life, and teaching folks about our coastal environment. Get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com and join the Cool Kids Club because we have one too.
Yeah, man.
It's a pretty license plate.
You know, the thing that's so cool is
What?
some of that money can go towards fish hatchery programs, releasing stuff in Biscayne Bay, you know, adopt a redfish. Guys, just got to get involved.
Just do
Support
it.
somehow.
Exactly. All right, well, we saved the most patient captain for last, so stay tuned if you're in the Casa Vieja Southeast region because Jimbo is ready to put you on the fish. We'll be right back on the Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips and Jordan, building critical infrastructure that matters. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip is certainly about the premium brand products that Power Pole has to offer. Now, over the last 25 years, they have certainly created some really cool products. The Charge comes to mind for me, and certainly it saves me a lot of time each day when I can just simply get home, plug in, and not have to worry about watching and maintaining my batteries between trips. The other thing that I think about is how easy it's made my job and my boating experience on a day-to-day basis when I'm actually using the shallow water anchors that they have to offer as well. Remember this, when you're talking about buying a Power Pole product, you're supporting a Florida-based company right here in Tampa. And the thing that I also appreciate about them is how well their customer service and what they have to offer us. It certainly is the best in the industry, so keep that in mind. So on behalf of Power Pole, we want to thank you for supporting Power Pole over the last 25 years. And we also are looking forward to working with you with new products over the next 25 years. And if you have any questions, you can go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole Tip of the Week.
Amen, Rick. Well said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region is most likely a swing and a miss when it comes to redfish, but Captain Jimbo Thomas has plenty of other options for us. Take us to the weekend, Jimbo.
You got it, Bree, and hello to everybody else. Yeah, a lot of miss when it comes to redfish. Yep, the Southeast region's never been a redfish hotspot. Every now and then there's one caught in the north end of the region in the Lake Worth Lagoon, and then there's a few found in the extreme south end along the western shoreline of Biscayne Bay, roughly from Matheson Hammock south to Card Sound. Just like redfish caught in the rest of the state, they can be caught with jigs tipped with shrimp, small live baits, small plastics, and gulp baits. Now, just recently, CCA released roughly 50,000 redfish into South Biscayne Bay, and hopefully in the near future we'll start seeing a few more of those. But what we do have in the Southeast region is plenty of tarpon, and that tarpon fishing remains good, just like it's been for the last few weeks in the inlets, around the ICW bridges, and also the lit docks, and also in any of the deeper holes throughout the area, especially Biscayne Bay. Best bite's going to be early in the mornings, then late in the afternoons into the evenings. You want to use large live shrimp, medium-sized live crabs, live mullet, pinfish, and swimming plugs. You want to look for any obvious current rips or color changes. That's most likely where those tarpon are going to be feeding on. Now, both the incoming and outgoing tide has been good. You just want to have some moving water. And a lot of these fish, especially in the inlets, have been quite big, up to 100 pounds. Now, moving offshore, sailfish have been coming through in fairly decent numbers. There have been a couple double-digit catches made in the last week, especially on the days that we have good conditions, which are north current and blue water. And those conditions do change overnight. Now, the best fishing has been anywhere from 100 to 250 feet of water. You want to use live baits, herrings, goggle eyes, fish them under the kite if you have enough wind. Otherwise, you can slow troll or drift those live baits, but there has been no shortage of wind, as you probably realize that. But I believe that the kite does offer better bait presentation. Now, we have been fishing with 40 or even 30-pound fluorocarbon leaders, which is a little lighter than usual, mainly because there's been some blackfin tunas around. They're a little leader shy. But for the sailfish, mono leaders up to 60 pounds will work fine. There's also been a few multiple hookups, and if you can get your bait out in front of any free jumping sails, it's a good chance of resulting in a hookup there. Now, I got a photo here, and this is just one of the many sailfish that we tagged and released aboard the Thomas Flyer in the last week or two. And then, like I mentioned, the blackfin tuna bite has been consistent with fish in the 15 to 30-pound range, basically in the same areas of the sailfish. Tunas have been biting throughout the day, but early in the morning, then late in the afternoon, just before sunset, that's when they're going to bite the best. Live pilchers and herrings fished under the kite. Use those light fluoro leaders and small circle hooks. That's been working the best for us aboard the Thomas Flyer. Then there's also been some blackfin tunas caught on the troll using small lures and feathers, anywhere from about 150 to 400 feet of water. And then on the slow pitch and butterfly jigs, people have been fishing those on some of the deeper structures, wrecks, the hump out in front of Government Cut, and they've been catching some blackfins as well. But the larger fish are definitely being caught on the live baits.
So
got another photo here. John Traveling and William Flynn with a couple of nice blackfins they caught off Fowey Light last week.
All right, Jimbo, I got a question for you. You know, we were down at Casa Vieja a few years ago, and you made us some tuna that we had caught. How did you prepare that? Can you remind me?
Well, the first problem is you got to catch the tuna. After that, we take care of it right, keep it iced down, bleed it, and then slice that loin up. I think we seared it that time. seared it really quick in some sesame oil.
Right.
We had our wasabi. I think we had ponzu sauce.
Right. And we had some chives,
it was
I think,
quite
on there.
good.
Yeah, I mean, it was when we went with all the guides from the fishing report.
That was just a blast.
It was a platter the size of this skeeter, and we just sat around the campfire and ate tuna until we got tired.
The life.
We were tired of drinking rum, tired of eating tuna, and tired of catching fish, which is what happens at Casa Vieja, as you know.
Of course, you do get tired catching fish.
Jimbo, we're so grateful for your report this week. We appreciate you being short, and then we had to draw out all these ridiculous questions, but we will talk to you again next week, and it's time for the ACR Hotspots from the Southeast region. You notice how his echoing voice, because he's in the bathroom at the fishing club.
Is that where he is?
Yes, of course, inshore. Look for the nighttime tarpon and snook in the inlets and around the lit bridges using both live and artificial baits. And then offshore, the fishing the edge of the Gulf Stream late in the afternoon with live baits in 100 to 200 foot range for a mixed bag of kingfish, blackfin tunas, and sailfish. The guys at the fishing club will give him a bunch of stuff about being on the fishing club, being on the phone, see? So he goes in the bathroom and hides.
And he hides.
There's a Jimbo trivia for you guys.
There you go. All right, well, we're closing the last April weekend with y'all and hope you're out enjoying what our beautiful state has to offer with the helpful tips from our captains. But stay with us so we can give you a sneak peek of what to expect next week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. We'll be right back. All right, make sure to tune in next week. We are talking grouper. Ooh.
Groupers.
I hope we're gonna get some recipes from our captains.
It's a black
that
grouper!
one.
It's a black grouper!
What's that from?
That's that commercial.
Adventures.
Yeah.
We got you down to a T, Rick.
That's a big black grouper.
It was a big one, man.
86 pounder.
I would have been thrilled too.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Rick, this was your show, the Redfish Show.
I know.
This is your time to
love
shine.
These are my kinds of fishes to talk about.
They are. Dave, you did a good job too. Dave and I will be at the Sea Safe event up in Melbourne for Starbright this weekend. So make sure you check that out and come see us. We'll be doing some fun projects. And we will see you next week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which ends now.